Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Veronica, who is going to be the next promo character coming to RTS. This is the first ever Veronica we've had in the game as well. Visually on the right hand side you can see she kind of reminds me of a few characters. I'm not sure who she's exactly reminding me of. I'm getting like Vasquez from Alien 2 vibes, but I'm also getting like, I'm not exactly sure which character it's going to be. It's like someone from Tekken or maybe Killer Instinct. I'm not exactly sure who it is. It's the red bandana. Someone's going to remember who this character could potentially be. On the left hand side we see the art in a little bit more detail. We can see she's got a lot of weaponry on her, little daggers, grenades, lots of little bits and pieces. She has got that pistol, as you can see. She has got an attached weapon which we will look at later on in the video. And she has got some like bigger daggers and a sword on her back, at least on the left hand side. Now she is only limit break 2. A lot of people theorize that when a character gets to limit break 3 they could potentially get, you know, their art upgraded a little bit. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed by Scopely or not, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. If we look at the limit break 2 level 680 stats, we can see she has 14,039 attack, 16,379 defense, 16,379 HP. She's an alert character. She's considered a control character, mythic character of course, and she is part of the X-Saviors. I believe she's the second character to join the X-Saviors, along with Ty, who was the first. Now if we look at her adrenaline rush, it is called Learned Maneuver. It is an extremely fast rush with 48 AP cost. Up to 2 enemies get stunned for 1 turn. While battling on the defense team, this increases to 5 enemies for 1 turn. So potentially she could stun an entire team if this goes off when she is on a defense team. Obviously resist will come into play, but this is just heavy control, and you've got more chance of this actually controlling a character and going through those resists because she is a control character. It's, you know, people are going to be more susceptible to her control than anyone else's control. There's no damage with this rush. You're not going to build her offensively at all on the defense team. You're just going to build her very tanky, get this off, stun 5 characters, or potentially stun 5 characters, and then basically give your defense team an extra turn of, you know, survival, or, you know, a chance to get rushes off, a chance to get signature moves off, a chance to gain AP. Okay, so we are on the rush turn for me, and I'm going to use my Veronica on attack. And I'm going to select this character up in the top right hand corner. We'll get the rush off. And we do stun 2 characters. We managed to stun Erica, and we also stun Maggie. We had previously stunned Elodie with the basic attack of Harper. And that's how I'd work on an attack team. 2 characters will get stunned. This does mean that any follow-up attacks would not have any sort of weapon procs or anything like that. It would still potentially proc passives. For instance, the passive of Maggie actually has the chance to cleanse somebody. It doesn't happen, but it has the chance to cleanse somebody. Now we do have the Veronica on the defense team, and I'm just going to defend with everybody. She's going to rush, and she can stun up to 5. I have only got 4 people here. This is just so you can see Veronica a bit better. And you can see my entire team is going to get stunned for 1 turn. Well, fortunately for me, Harper did self-cleanse because of how her kit works. But 3 of my characters are stunned, and potentially it could have been a 4th in there as well. Obviously resist will come into play, but let's just pretend that the leader did get stunned, so I'd have to hit the defend again. It's just going to give the defense 2 turns in a row, and it's not like defense teams need that extra boost, but apparently that's going to be something that comes in. And obviously this can be commanded at any point, so if she gets a rush on the first turn or second turn, she could be command rush to stun 5 enemies when she is on a defense team. Now with that speed, based on other characters that you have in a team, AP gain anywhere, commands, this is obviously potentially going to go off turn 1 even, but almost guaranteed turn 2 with the right AP weapons, but naturally turn 3. If you want to use a stat weapon on this character, she should have a natural turn 3. The only time it's going to be slower is if she would be a first turn signature move, because you actually gain more AP from doing a basic attack than doing a first turn signature move. And I hope that she does have a first turn signature move just to balance it out a bit, because Otherwise, she's got the potential of rushing so quickly, it's going to be nuts with a command. But even if she is got a signature move turn 1, you can still get it done in certain scenarios. If we look at the upgrades on the rush, you can see at grade 2, she gets an extra stun target, and this is probably attack target and defense target. And then at grade 4, it's just a stun target while on defense team. And then at limit break 2, it's another stun target while on the defense team. So if you don't get her to grade 4, she would only have 3 enemies that she stuns while on the defense team. But obviously increasing by 1 with grade 4 and limit break 2. So obviously you need to get like 4 of this character on your pulls to be able to stun all 5 enemies. Or at least potentially stun all 5 enemies when she's used on a defense team. But even if she's only stunning 4, that's still going to be extremely powerful. You will lose out on a little bit of stats this way, but that is actually quite a strong limit break 2. Now she has got a signature move, and it is called Combat Tricks, and it has indeed got an initial cooldown of turn 1, but it has got a cooldown of 1 turn, number of uses unlimited, deal a critical attack up to 2 other enemies, get dazed for 1 turn. This is actually quite interesting. This means that you could potentially stop turn 2 signature moves on attack teams. You know, the likes of Sandy, the likes of Michonne, these sort of characters that have turn 2 signature moves. Remember, a defense team, their first turn is going to be after an attack team's first turn. So it would be the turn 2 signature moves that they would stop. And she's going to be doing this quite a lot. You know, it has got a 1 turn cooldown. So whenever this is up, she'll just do it. And she's got the potential of just blocking signature moves, which can be healing signature moves, which could potentially be reviving signature moves, but based on the characters you want to take in. So yeah, or controlling, you know, lots of different signature moves. And this is just basically where it's going to stop. Any sort of signature moves, Daze is there to stop that. And not many people are going to use Daze Resist on an attack team, so this should be quite effective. Now I could of course take Veronica on attack 2 if I so wished, if I wanted to Daze particular characters on an attack team. The downside of Veronica when it comes to her signature move on turn 1 is you can't dictate what characters that signature move is going to daze, because it's going to daze 2 characters that she doesn't select. And we have got a character that's in the current event, Barker, who is very powerful. Obviously he's got a turn 1 signature move which gives himself 100% AP, so potentially could rush turn 1 with a command, be very, very dangerous indeed. And we can't select him and use my signature move to daze him, so we'd have to select other characters and kind of just hope to get lucky. And we do it this time around, and we can get Veronica in the bottom right corner, and we get Maggie, which would effectively be Barker. But if you notice, Erica is also dazed, so there is something else in Veronica's kit that is going to add daze to the selected enemy as well when it comes to a signature move. You might have noticed other things as well that's going on, pretty obvious things that are going on right now, which we're going to get into in just a moment. Now if we break down the signature move in this skills tab, you can see the upgrades. It says at grade 3 it gets -1 cooldown, so it goes from 2 turn cooldown down to 1 turn cooldown. This doesn't make that big a difference. I think 2 turn to 1 turn isn't that big a difference, as long as it's in those first 2 turns on the initial cooldown and within, you know, a 1 or 2 turn cooldown as well. Then you should have the natural rotation where it'd be like attack, signature move, rush, or signature move, attack, rush. If it's any of the first 2 or 3 turns, then that's where there's the issue. You can see at grade 5, the starting cooldown goes to turn 1. This is kind of beneficial from my perspective, and you know, I think if she didn't have a turn 1 signature move, she'd gain a lot more AP from a basic attack over using her signature move, because the signature move is locked in at 35 AP, and that's where she could be rushing way too fast, honestly. So it's kind of a balancing signature move, if I'm honest. But you definitely could have other characters in the teams that give AP. You know, you could have Glenn on a defense team. It could potentially give AP to Veronica. You could have other characters that give AP. You could have AP to self weapons, you know, random AP weapons. It would be a bit of RNG there, but you know, the potential of it going off on Veronica would be actually pretty impressive. And then lastly, we have Limit Break 1, which would be an extra daze target. So initially it would only be 1 other character getting dazed other than the person who she's dealing critical attack against, which does not get dazed from the signature move. But like I said, there is other parts of her kit which are going to do that, which we will look at in a minute. But first, we will look at her mythic abilities. These are her passive skills, those mythic passives. Veronica's mythic abilities, she has got precision, and enemy resistance is a 40% lower against this character. This is Precision 1 and 2 added together, of course. The next one is Not Dying Here. At the start of each wave, this character gets 80% Halo for 3 turns. You probably noticed that. You're like, wait a sec. She's just got Halo straight away. It's because at the beginning of a fight, she gets Halo for 3 turns. Now, obviously, there are bypasses to this. Crosshairs means that if the character gets taken down in a Halo state, they will be decapped. And also, decap itself would just stop Halo from actually taking place. However, I believe that 100% heal reduction does not block Halo. So if a character did come out that had 100% heal reduction and you did it on this character, it would not block the Halo. It only block revives that were coming in when a character is down. The Halo is almost like a preemptive revive. It's already been put on the character. They just have to actually be taken out for it to actually activate properly. The next one is Done This Before, and she gets 80 crits. Now this is kind of strange. We've seen the rest of her kit. It's kind of weird because the only part of her kit so far that does any damage is her signature move, and she gets a guaranteed crit on that. So her getting 80 crit is kind of weird. It would only affect her basic attacks. However, it does play into other parts of her kit, which we will get onto in a second. And then the last passive is called Opportune Opening. When making a critical hit, heal one teammate by 40% of their max HP. Obviously, this is going to play into the Done This Before passive, but that is actually quite nice. While she is a control character, she's going to be that kind of like just side healer. She could potentially be hitting crits quite a lot. She isn't a fast character, so you can't guarantee it, but you wouldn't really want a fast character to have Done This Before with 80 crit on there. If you're going to have 100% crit weapon, that would be a wasted passive. So it plays into something else in the kit, I assure you. But even if it doesn't, even if you didn't know that, it does play into that last passive where she gets 40%, and 40% max HP is pretty high just for hitting a crit. It will go to the person with the lowest HP too, which of course is generally the person who you want to heal up. Okay, so at the beginning of the second turn, and you can see one of my characters did get heavily focused quite a bit. The AI likes to do that quite a bit, as you know. And if I do a basic attack with Veronica, I can hit a crit, and that could potentially heal my Harper by 40% of her max HP. Her being on the defense team, this is going to be much more effective. It's going to be guaranteed with her signature move going off as well. You know, someone with 50,000 HP is going to heal for 20,000 HP. You know, it's going to be a big heal. And we see the halo on the character on the left-hand side, but we have also got the halo here. We'll try and take her out. Going to give her a big nuke with a tough character. Now, she is going to get picked up, and the 80% means that is the amount of HP she's going to have when she comes back. She will get the obvious AP disadvantage when being revived, where she will only have 50% of her AP, but she's going to have 80% of her max HP, and obviously, again, the higher her base HP is, the higher her HP is once she comes back with Halo. Now, this does only happen once. As you can see, it's worn out now. It's not going to come back again, but it will only last for the first 3 turns of a raid. And like I said before, there are some ways to get past it as well. If you want to still win speedily, you're going to have to use certain specialist skills, certain effects, you know, to be able to keep that character down the first time you take them out. Now, if we look at the upgrades on the passives, you can see at grade 1, it's Not Dying Here. Grade 2, it's Precision 1. Grade 3, it's Done This Before 1. Grade 4, it's Done This Before 2. Grade 5, Opportune Opening. Limit Break 1 is Precision 2. And lastly, it is Limit Break 2 at Not Dying Here. So you can see that the most expensive one is the Not Dying Here 2. That's the second part of the Halo. And then obviously the big heal at grade 5 is going to be the sort of like the last of the base upgrades. The other ones are just, you know, the second half of the upgrades. So it looks like she's got a lot of passives, but 3 of them are secondaries. If we just scroll up, you can see those are all the passives, but the final percentages and the final amounts that they give out is as they are shown on screen. If she is Limit Break 2 and you've invested all those military supplies. So far, so good on this character. Some interesting parts, very control-based, heavy control. But when thinking about that crit, why has she got that crit? It doesn't make too much sense. But she's got a new specialist skill. It's a brand new specialist skill. It is called Head Cracker, When this character performs a critical attack on an enemy, that enemy will be dazed for 2 turns, and this character recovers from all penalties. That is obviously really strong because it can cleanse everything, even when she's like, imagine she just a character comes out that has a 2 or 3 turn taunt. If she hits a crit on that taunt attack, it'll cleanse the taunt itself and every other negative effect that she's got. Really effective. If she's confused, the same sort of deal. She'd have to hit a crit, whether it be on her own teammates or on the enemy. That means it'll cleanse herself. Now, obviously, the daze coming in as well is nice. That's why you saw the daze actually dazing the target on her first turn signature move. So on her first turn signature move now, it dazes the target for 2 turns and then 2 other characters for 1 turn. So it goes from a 2-turn daze potential to a 3-turn daze. Obviously, the crit can be resisted by tanks, but as she's a defense team character, you're less likely to actually be dealing with tanks on attack teams. You can sometimes, you know, the likes of Kelly, and no doubt in the future there could potentially be like the odd support character that's a bit more of a, you know, a tanky character, but in the tank role. For instance, I believe Command Rick is a tank role character, so may run into the same issues there. And Rick is strong and Veronica is alert, so she may focus Rick on purpose and he could potentially resist that crit in those circumstances. Okay, so just to show you the effectiveness of this on an attack team, obviously on a defense team it's just going to be just as effective. It's just going to be blocking everything that is turn 2. On an attack team, she could potentially be used as a support character, maybe in certain teams like bleed teams and stuff, because she has got quite decent control, or, you know, burn teams, so she's the controlling character, or potential future main teams, which I think might have a little come up in the future. But as we see, we can do the signature move on Barker, and he will be dazed for 2 turns. We also see a couple of other characters are dazed as well, but Barker himself has got a turn 1 signature move that gives himself 100% AP. Teamed up with Rick, this is going to be devastating because obviously he does his rush. I mean, he will do his rush, but he does his signature move, then his command rush. His rush gives 50% AP. If you check out my Barker video, you can see he can make people pop off turn 1, turn 2 really quickly. So you want to shut that down as quickly as possible. And Veronica looks like a character that potentially could be used to do that, but ideally she's going to be used on a defense team. And I kind of see her just blocking off those annoying signature moves off of the damage dealers, like I said before. Sandy, Michonne, those sort of characters. So that's how Headcracker works. It doesn't have to be on a signature move. It's just her signature move does guarantee a crit off of turn 1. So it's quite easy to show you that. It will work with basic attacks as well. Now this specialist skill is the first time we've seen this. We have had a new specialist skill quite recently as well called Combat Medic. And I think both of these work really well on attack or defense. So I kind of like the viability of them on attack and defense. A lot of the time you get really good specialist skills or decent specialist skills that only work maybe on attack or maybe only work on defense. And both of these seem to be able to work both ways. So that I kind of like the potential here on future characters and the characters that they're actually on in the first place. Now, Veronica does have an attached weapon. It is a 4-star weapon. I had to 5-star it just to put a different weapon in her hands for the tests. Veronica's Savage Scoped 60S pistol. I'm not sure what that is. 60S pistol. Am I reading that right? 30% attack, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, and focus stun when being attacked, a better chance to stun the enemy and get focus for 2 turns. Now remember, this is a 4-star weapon, and by the looks of it on paper, it looks really good for a 4-star attached weapon on a mythic character. However, she doesn't need attack, and that's a wasted upgrade, and she potentially doesn't need huge AP on attack either. I think the really good weapon in her hands would be Jesus's pistol. Absolute defense would work great. Again, huge stats on it. No need for the AP on attack because she has got a 1-turn cooldown. As long as it's 1 or 2 turn cooldown, she'll always have that sequence that I said. Basic attack, signature move, rush, or signature move, basic attack, rush. She's always going to be able to do that, and she's going to be able to get enough AP just without any AP on attack here. So the weapon looks great, but is in fact fairly disappointing because it's still going to need to have 2 of these things replaced, ideally, for Veronica here. So this is Gold Mythic Veronica, and she, like I said, she is the next promo character to come into the game. I do like the visuals quite a lot. I still can't figure out who it is that she reminds me of. I'm going to say it's partially Vasquez, but there's another character like in a beat 'em up, I'm pretty sure, who wore a red bandana and looked quite similar with like a waistcoat and stuff like this. It might have been Tekken, it could have been more. Like there's just been so many, honestly, so many beat 'em ups. It could be some random beat 'em up that was only had like one game released or something like that, like Virtua Fighter or something like that. I'm not even sure. But do let me know your thoughts on Veronica here as a Mythic character. And if anyone can think of who I think this is, let me know. I want to thank you very much for tuning into my video, guys. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.